Very good morning to all of you. Good morning. Okay, so this is going to be very interactive. So actually, you don't have to wait for me to talk for 1 hour. I was told that I have the Q&A at the end. But for us to have a better feel of this, you can pause, you can ask any question anytime. You can even ask a question before I start. I want to retake the expectations of the group that I need to make 4 or 5. Is that okay? So the first one we had was how to make more money. The second was how to manage and understand money and finances. That's what I had. Any other?
Financial freedom. Financial freedom.
And debt free.
Okay.
Assistant to wealth creation.
So when you finish, let me examine them.
So that's a good one. So actually, I think I have all of you covered in my presentation before today. So literally everything is covered. However, the good thing is, ask any question, anytime, any moment. So today, I'm going to first take you through basic things first. Give me the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Set the tone, set the foundation. So a lot of us have heard about money. Okay. So there is money, like what we call now. Okay. Yeah. So this is money that we know. But this money you see here is a currency, is a cedi. Now with this cedi, it is actually a fiat money. And I want to write the terms down so that we can. So when it comes to fiat or currency, it is basically within jurisdiction. So in other words, this money can be used here in Ghana. You can only exchange it into a dollar, into a pound, into anything else. However, it does not cross borders. And currency is not the same as money, it's part of money. So currency is a subset of money. Now I'm going to explain it to you. Once you understand these basic concepts, you'll be able to appreciate how to make more money and how you are losing money without even knowing you are losing it. And I'll teach you with inflation. So money is basically an economic unit that is legally accepted, as you can see. So we're able to use it for a medium of what? Exchange. In other words, at first people used to do butter. Now, I don't need to have bread and you have water, and I need bread and you need water in exchange. Basically with money or currency when it comes to that. Now there's a question of store of value. That is the major difference between money and currency, and I explain to you. This currency you see, imagine that I have 1,000 Ghana cedis, 1,000 Ghana cedis. In the year 2016, maybe a bag of cement was 25 Ghana cedis, just for an example, which means I could buy 40 bags of cement. In this year, 2022, it's about 50 Ghana cedis, let's say 50, which means with the same 1,000 Ghana cedis, I can only buy 20. The money is still 1,000 Ghana cedis 6 years ago, but in the same 6 years, now we can't purchase the same thing. But it is the same currency, which is 1,000 Ghana cedis. The difference is that a currency does not have a store value. So this cedi doesn't have store value. But money in itself has a store. And that's how I'm going to prove it to you. So let's assume it was 100,000. If somebody decided that with that same 100,000 in 2016, the person bought a plot of land somewhere at Duah, or somewhere in Marseille or whatever, and another person decided to keep the 100,000 under the bed. 6 years down the road, do they have the same value? Do they have the same value?
No.
Because the 100,000 plot of land would have appreciated. At least, I remember in 2014, there was a plot of land around that facility for about 60,000. It was very cheap then. Today, even for 300,000 at Tasmans would be very difficult. So from 60,000, even 300,000 today, you may not find it because land is a scarce commodity. And with time as people are buying, it becomes more and more scarce. And for that reason, you have to pay more money for the same land. So first and foremost, for us to understand how we're going to gain money, we need to understand where we are keeping our money in order to store our value is very important. So those of you who are just saving money in a susu box and putting the money under your bed without you accepting the reality, you're actually losing money because of what we call purchasing power. Because due to inflation, this 1,000 Ghana cedis would not be the same. Please, does it make any sense to you?
Yes.
So first and foremost, you're going to make money knowing that until your money is working for you, you're actually losing money. Do we accept that?
Yes.
Or until you put your money into assets that can store your value, you are still losing money. So for us to make money, it means that we need to put our monies into things that are generating income or they are storing value for us. Please, does it make any sense to you?
Yes.
So money is a unit of account. It's the same as a currency. You know that it's a standard of deferred payment. I'll not bore you with these ones. These are the properties of currency, like will be durable, front, take too much time. And there's the one that I just explained to you. The difference between money and currency. So the first one is that money is a store of value, whilst currency is not a store of value. That is the reason why the same 1,000 Ghana cedis you put into something that will store the value in 2016 would have more value by 2022 because that money keeps the intrinsic value. So if you take anything like land or real estate, apart from the fact that it is appreciating due to demand and supply, the reason why real estate appreciates over time is because it's one of the assets that keeps the intrinsic value of money. In other words, apart from the law of demand and supply, it is able to keep the real value. That is the reason why, as inflation is going up, the prices of houses and land are also going up. So you need to understand that in terms of employing your funds, you need to employ them in things or assets that will either keep the value for you or generate income for you. Please, are we okay?
Yes.
So money has to have explained this one to you too. Now this is the part I need you to really get. I'm using the Hill approach, so it will become complex, but you didn't know that it will become complex. So let's just go in a simple way. So the first one is that money devalues over time due to inflation. And that is because over time, inflation happens, we lose our purchasing power. And I'll explain that to you. But the second one, I need you to understand this concept. Money flows from those who understand and value it least to those who understand and value it most. For some reasons, most of us have a misconception, and even there are certain things that we misconstrue that thinking that money is the root of all evil, money is not good and all that. But for those of us who are even Christians, the Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evil, which means that the attachment, when we are excessively controlled by money, that is what it becomes the root of all evil. That same scripture tells you that money answers what? All things. So today we are here. It's money that brought all of us here. We had to get here. So actually what happens here is that for those people who for some reasons are not valuing and understanding money, because they do not even understand the principles of creation of value, principles of creation of wealth and stuff, they unconsciously are not creating a lot of money and they are not making more. Those who understand that we are doing now, who are seeking to value it more, will be more positioned and predisposed to earn more because they will understand what we call even social capital, leveraging on networks and stuff, which at first you'd have done it all by yourself, but together with a network like this, you can achieve it. Expenditure and receipt. The real equation for making more is when you understand that it doesn't matter how much leaves you. If 2 leaves you, then at least 3 should come in. And if 4 leaves, 5 should come in. You should leave a simple principle where your receipts are always exceeding your expenditure. And this is where those who are making real wealth are making the difference as opposed to those who are not. A lot of people tell you, we are living from hand to mouth, the economy is it for my salary, my bills, everything. This is what I keep telling you. If you earn 2,000, no matter what, you spend 2,000. At worst, you borrow. But you never spend 20,000 because you don't have the capacity to spend that 20,000. If you decide that you spend 1,000 a month, that is the money you are spending. You spend only 1,000. The problem with most of us is that we always think there is an option because I have 2,000, I can still spend within the 2,000. I'll give you a financial plan and show you mathematically how you can plan it. The percentages, you do all that because I realize most of the things you're talking about. So those who value money least have higher relative expenditure because they think that money is a spending tool. This is the paradigm shift you need to have. Money is not spending tool, it's an earning tool. Please write this down. But it's not on the presentation. So money, most people think that money is a spending tool. For us, money is an earning. E-A-R-N-I. So the fourth one is that money is an economic energy that can neither be created nor destroyed. It exchanges from one form to the other. For most people, we come to the point where we believe that to even make money, there has to be some juju, some or you have to call it something, sakawa and all that. I don't want to talk about it, it's true of course, but I'm talking about science, I'm talking about management. What happens is that today I have value that I'm giving. I have Mama Fab has a value. Caroline has money. She pays for that value. That is where the exchange is occurring. So for us to understand it, you see throughout almost all my presentation, the number one way to earn, create wealth is for you to create or add value. If you are not creating, you are not adding value, you are not going to make any true. You live on chance, you live on things just happening to you. In other words, you live your life by default. Today, I want all of us to live here thinking, planning, and saying that I want to live my life by design, which means intentionality. We're going to be intentional about our lives, we're going to be purposeful, and make sure that we don't wait for things to happen. But
No.
now, this last point, this last point is very, very necessary. And to me, this is the icebreaker for so many people. You know, we've had this thing where people, or even our parents, where people work and work and work and work, they retire, a whole lot of things, and they still think they didn't make so much money. Even it happens at church, people with a lot of integrity and everything, and they're not making any true money. What is actually happening is that money tends to flow towards service and value, and not towards work and time. And a lot of people are missing this point. We think that we need to work hard. Working hard is good because it puts you at a certain pedestal, it puts you at a certain state, but it does not completely set you free, the financial freedom that we talk about. Because what will happen here is that the mason and the contractor. The mason is the one doing all the job, literally, but the contractor is the one earning all the money. And somebody says it's not fair. It is actually fair. It is fair because it is a contractor who was able to get the deal. It's a contractor whose capital is financing and actually employing what? The mason. So actually, in terms of wealth creation and making money, it is all about service and about value. Those people giving service and those people giving value. So let me give you two assumptions. Some of you are entrepreneurs, some of you are salary workers. For those of you who are entrepreneurs, you are already into value creation or value addition. That is already good. Those of you who are salary workers, your best input is your qualifications, your skills, and your experiences. You cannot be a born before computer, or you cannot be someone who has stagnated on your role for a long time. You need to adapt to trends, new knowledge, new technology, professional courses become part of this. The more you do that, the more you add value to yourself. And you should be somebody who should not be easily dispensable at your workplace. It doesn't mean you do not allow teamwork, no. What I mean is that you are so committed to your work, you give your all, that when you leave, your presence is fully felt. That people will want to pay top dollar for you to be employed. I hope you are getting it. Yes. So that is the value that you end up providing and you get it. Please, does it make sense to all?
Yes.
So we are still just on foundation. So this is still foundation. So we talked about financial freedom, right? So there's this acronym called FIRE, Financial Independence and Retiring Early. You can write it down for those who pay it and those who are So financial independence and retiring early. This has been a notion that has been there for about almost 12 years now globally. But I had to develop about 2 or 3 more concepts to the FIRE. And I have called it the MYB's World Definition Model. So beyond the FIRE, I've added 2 other ones. The problem with the lot, and this one I'll give you an example from T.L. Collins. Again, I'm yet to. Yes. So Collins gave a very good story, and to me is one of the most powerful stories. So there were 2 childhood friends, and can I use your name? Abigail. Ella. So Ella and Abigail are 2 good friends, childhood friends, grew up together. And then Ella and Abigail, they all decide to go different paths. So Ella becomes a minister, okay, catering to the king. And then Abigail decides that I want to be a priest. So they meet after so many years, and then Abigail is wearing this long dress, flat shoes, no car, and all that. The minister is coming with an entire convoy, entourage, everything. And they meet. And then the minister tells Abigail, you know something? If you had learned to cater to your pen, maybe you would have been a minister like me. And he also tells him, if you had learned to live by only rice and beans, you wouldn't have to even cater for a king. To Abigail, she's still successful, though she doesn't have a car. To the minister, Ella, she's also successful. You need to find the world your own way. It means what means different things to different people. So don't let someone's materialistic, which is their way of seeing things, stop you from that freedom and peace of mind. There are people who get everything. The other time there was this married couple, they have money, everything, and the wife is still not happy in the marriage. It's not about the money. It's not about the houses. There is something she wants, she's not getting. So if you give her 10 cars, she will still not be happy because there's one thing that means a lot to her. So what is worth to you? That is the first stage. Because otherwise, if you don't know what you are looking for, you would even see it and throw it away. And I'll give you an example. A lot of you, if I come here with a rock, which is actually gold, you would not see it's gold. Because you only know the shiny, glittering gold, which has been refined. You don't know, you cannot discover and identify gold in its raw state. And that is where the problem of so many of us are. We don't actually know what we are looking for. So we are trying everything, and for that reason, if you don't have focus, you would always miss your mark. So first and foremost, all of us today are going to determine which of these perspectives and dimensions mean more to us. It does not mean that you have one and you don't have the rest. You could have all,
but one of them would mean what? More to you. I hope you are getting. So the financial independence for a while and retiring early is actually just one perspective. So today I'm going to show you 4, and I call them the mixed world definition. So that's an acronym there, MIPPS, where the M stands for materialistic. There is nothing wrong with it. If you are like Despite who wants to buy the 3 million Bugatti, that is what makes you happy. There's nothing wrong with it. Jeep Wrangler. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So please don't let people feel and tell you wait now we are here for 38 betray. Oh, it's vanity. If that is what makes you happy, please do it. Go for it. We are totally different people. I hope you are getting it.
You get a presentation, right?
Yes, if you, I can. Yes. Unfortunately, because of the software I use, I can give it to you in PDF.
That's right.
So materialistic here is a lot of people, they look at their net worth. So I don't want to do a lot of accounting, but in basic terms, net worth simply means what I own less what I owe other people. So my total assets minus my total liabilities. So in other words, that is what I'm worth. So to some people, wealth is all about their bank accounts. It's about the houses they have, the cars they have. It's about the cash. That is what wealth is to you. There's nothing wrong with it. If that is what wealth is to you, then the approach to gaining wealth would not be the same as the next people. So first you need to identify which one of them you belong to. Then we have the financial independence. Who talked about financial independence? Who wanted? Yes, please your name again, first name. Mina, good. So Mina, this could be you. I don't know yet. Even yourself, maybe that's not actually what you wanted after discovering the other ones. So independence is also very important to some people. And there are 3 components of it. We have the financial independence, so which is just one aspect of it, where you don't want to depend on anybody for money. You just don't want to depend, sometimes even on your own husband, because you are a woman. You don't want to depend even on your family or anything. You want to say, I want a car, a Mercedes, I go and buy it for myself.
Thank you.
So, yes. So you decide. So that one is what is important to you. For some of you, it's time independent. Your ability to come for a program like this on a Friday without asking for leave. You can just decide. So, I told you I had all of you covered.
You see, I told you are on the right way.
So time independence is very important to some of you. You want to have that freedom. And actually, I was a banker before I moved into lecturing. I left banking because I wanted to have time independence. Be free whenever I want to. So tomorrow I'm traveling out of the country. I want to go. I don't need any permission, any leave, just like that. Then you have location independence. Now, COVID made remote working and learning quite overemphasized because at first people didn't want to accept it. But I remember during my book launch, a friend came from Minnesota to the book launch with a wife, and they never had to ask for leave because they are working online. All they needed was a good internet in Ghana, which Cloud Ghana provided for them, and that was all. So nobody even had to know in the States that they are out of the country because everywhere given, they were doing it. So some of you want to even do a job that you can be in Bahamas, you can be in Nairobi, you can be anywhere and still be working. So you have to determine which one of these I'm mentioning that is more important to you.
Can't you have all 3?
So it's actually 4. Okay, so that's what the M is a materialistic and the I is independent. So you can have all 3 for you. So yours independence is what matters to you. Then you have the physical and the psychological. So that's a PP in the yes. So the physical I know one. I remember when I was at the bank, one very, I would say, she was somebody who was like a star with a lot of potential in the banking sector, and she had to leave because of health reasons, because of the sedentary life of bankers of sitting. She was having back pain and it was becoming severe. She had to leave and open a shop somewhere around Santase and then sit there. And that was good for her because her health was more important to her than the salary she was getting. So for some of you, health is everything. So you've heard this thing, your health, your wealth. I hope you get it. Then there is a psychological. So the psychological, there are three components. That's the mental health. And you've heard a lot of people talk about mental health, peace of mind and all that. There are certain jobs, certain businesses, you realize that every day you are drained. Every day you are under pressure. It got to a point, one of my staff she went almost crazy. She'll be there, hey, target, have I met the target? And I mean, she's thinking and unconsciously speaking aloud, unconsciously. So mental health is very important to you. It means you watch the things that would not compromise your mental health. So sometimes if you have to lose material things to gain your mental health, you go for that because that's what is more important to you. Then there's the emotional and then the spiritual one. So some of you have spiritual callings. You've been called to become a woman of God. You want to become this. You want to become even a counselor and all that. So those ones also become more important to you. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Then there's the last one, the social. At this social status, there is nothing wrong about it if you want to say, like they say in Chi, where you want to be a reputable person in society. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. You want to be famous. Don't let anybody tell you social media, whatever. That is what satisfies you. There are some people, and I'll give the example of this man, I don't like to mention his name, from Colombia, drug law, but maybe for some reasons I'll mention Pablo Escobar. Yeah. So he had all the money, money stashed, even wars, dollars, everything. Yet he was not satisfied. He wanted to become the president of Colombia. And he did everything. And when they denied him because of his violence and stuff, that is when he lost it. And he became more violent and started bombing, killing more people. Because all the money he had was not enough. He wanted to be a big man, a big figure in society. So there are some of you, your self-accomplishment and your social status means so much to you. It is a reward to you. So such people like you should look into politics, okay? Should look into social enterprises and things that put you into public speaking, public engagement, things that at the end of the day, when you see impact, you see lives in society, you are regarded. So that is what, and you can also monetize. All the things I'm telling you, there is a way to monetize it. We'll talk about the monetization as we go on. So all the part you can still monetize. Just that some will be faster than others. But the one that is more important to you, you pick that one. Now let's come to the main thing. How we are all going to make it work. For a long time now, I have told people that anybody with the wrong notion of time will be so difficult to make any true money. Why? Because time is the equalizer between the rich and the poor. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, no matter how much they have, they can never reverse time to become 25 years. Today, yesterday, even the last moment we spent outside introducing ourselves, it would never happen again. It would never come again. Yesterday will never happen in our time again. So time is non-renewable. And it is the most valuable asset you have. And it's a simple economic theory. Anything which is non-renewable, non-replenishable, anything that you cannot replicate or get extra, it becomes scarce, and for that reason, it's the most valuable thing. Today, oil, gold, and stuff, because they get totally finished. Okay? And for that reason, they are very expensive. Your time is what you have. So, you're going to learn two things. So, you cannot add time, you cannot reduce it. All you can do is that you are going to reduce any waste you have. So with someone who has a notion of creating value, anything that wastes your time, that does not add to your definition of work, you have to do what? Cut it off. So I like football, but I cannot let my liking football make me spend my whole Saturday and Sunday watching all matches. I will not be productive. So I choose only Manchester United. I watch their match and I'm done for the day. Chelsea, Arsenal, I don't care. Because we also sometimes, you cannot have, you can't be work. There need to be fun, vacation, time, pleasure. It all adds to the refreshment so that you can be renewed and start what? Again. But learn to reduce all the things that are wasted. So if it's social media and you think it's taking too much of your time, you have to be intentional about how you use social media. You can tell yourself, I'm spending 30 minutes a day on social media. Nothing wrong with it. You go there, you answer all your messages, you like and comment, do all the things you want to do. However, if you are someone who is into social status that we talked about, then you cannot do 30 minutes on social media. You may even end up doing 10 hours because that's your field. I hope you are getting it. So that's how come most of the times the little problem I have with some of these financial gurus and stuff is that we'll talk, and I'm saying we, including myself, as if there's only one path. There isn't. Actually, whatever I'm telling you, all of you have totally different ways because you're not even the same to achieve it. So what I'm just doing is I'm exposing you to alternatives that you yourself can choose the one that best what fits you. Now you have to learn to be productive because you cannot add to time, you cannot take out of time. So how are you going to be productive? Things that are first will take you 2 hours to do. Now they are softwares, they are applications, they are stuff. Now you want to scan a document, you don't have to go and rush to your office to do it. Phones have scanners on their phone. Have some of these apps. They are planners, diaries, these things. Have a lot of these things around you. Budgeting, you don't have to always use a pen. There are a lot of softwares that you can use for your daily budget. You can, some of them, a lot of them. So what you have to do is look at things that can make you more what? Productive. And that will depend on the job you are doing or the business you are doing. So for us to create wealth, we need to understand that the currency we are having to trade for it is wealth. Whether you are doing someone's business or your own business, you are trading your time for money. Is that not so? You are the fashion, both of you are fashion. Okay, so don't you do the sewing or do some of the things you do, you end up doing it. So if you don't put in that time, would you end up getting the product you want? No. So you are doing it. So even though you are working for yourself, you are still giving what? Time. And now you can also use, so I'll come to what we call leverage, where a lot of us, so let me give you just an example. So many of us in our part of our world, I don't like using the word Africans, but in our part of our world, we want to do things on our own, have things in our own name alone, be the only one to do this. I don't know why you want to be the only one to do it. I don't get that concept. Please come again. I don't see why you want to be the only one. And I'll give you a very simple example. Our Nigerians, okay, I'll give you the skits and the comedians they're having. We used to have Mark Angel with Emmanuel and stuff. Now they are these new guys, Sidney Talker and the rest. And they are doing something I like, which I refer to it as abundance mentality. These guys, you see them, there are about 20 of these guys in the skit, and there'll be a video, all the 20 will be there. Because they realize that the market they have is beyond Nigeria. It's gone out, and there is more room for it. So if Sidney Talker's video, if he wants to produce one video a week, he would not be able to satisfy those people consuming this content on Facebook. So we need to have more of us, so that those consuming, we can have about 20, because you can't satisfy everybody. So one thing that we need to do is eventually learn how to collaborate and cooperate with what? A lot of people. We'll come to that. Let me move on to the value. So the second most important thing is value. I've explained that to you already, so I wouldn't go so much into details. Everybody would give you their money if they see or get value what in return. So people will pay. None of us will pay for something today and not get value out of it and pay for it again tomorrow. We wouldn't do that. So your customers will come back to you when you're giving them value. If you are working for yourself, the same customers, they'll come back because you're giving them value. You are working for somebody, your relationship manager, for example, the customers that you have, how you treat them, how you handle the door. Someone who was saying customer service for Africa.
Oh, smart.
Yes. And it's literally everything because you give them value for their money. They will always keep what? Coming. So we can't stop value creation and value what? Addition. Please, is that okay? The next one is leverage. Leverage is a catalyst. So for us to make money, we need time. For us to make money, we need to have value. But the difference between how fast you go as against mine will be leverage. And leverage has been one of the reasons why even the Western world are able to accelerate a lot of things more than us. And I'm going to explain to you. If I am here now, and for some reasons I want to lift, maybe there's a rock, and I'm pushing it with all my force, it's not moving. I'm pushing, it's not moving. Then I go and pick a rod, place it under it, and I apply the same force. This time around, I'm able to move it. I didn't change the force I was applying. The only thing that I did was to get a lever, which is a rod, and this time around, I was able to move it. I'll give you a typical example. The first project I did myself, we needed 600,000 Ghana cedis. That was around 2013, 2014. And that 600,000, if I looked at my savings plans, I'll be able to do that around somewhere 2022, 2025, depending on how much I do every year. And then I said, okay, the other option is that I can talk to my network, my friends, my social capital, and then tell them, hey, you know something, I have a very good idea. It's solid. It will earn us, all of us, a lot of money. I think you can bring 20,000, you can bring 100,000, you can bring this. When I did that, within 2 weeks, we were able to raise 600,000. Now, if I look at me waiting for almost 7-10 years to raise 600,000 or raising that same money from the same people, and before we are done today, I'm dropping an idea in this network. You are powerful, and there's a lot of things that you can do even with this network. And there is nothing, because it's scriptural, and for me, I'm a Christian, so I get a lot of things from Bible. In Genesis 11, when they were building the Tower of Babel, even God said, because they speak the same language, there is nothing they want to do that will be impossible to them. You can achieve anything. So most of us, we are doing everything with our own strength. Leverage is about OPM. OPS, OP whatever. It simply means other people's money, other people's time, other people's market, other people's platform, other people's whatever. You don't always have to start everything by yourself. Sometimes you can simply rise on the platform of a friend. The only difference with leverage is that there is a notion. There are 3 personal notions I'll teach you aside this. These are 3 principles I work with in my life, and it's important I share with you. These 3 things is actually my 3rd book I'll release in 2025.
Wow.
Yes. And I'll show you how to plan your life. I have my life planned for the next 70 years. I know exactly what I'm doing. Everything is planned. I plan. Yes.
70.
Yes, 70 years. Everything about my life.
70.
70. Yes. Everything
Now
is
you
planned.
have 150 years.
So what happened was, because Bible says it's 3.5, which is 70 years. I planned with 70 in my mind, thinking, I hope you are getting. But the most important thing about these 3 things is that abundance mentality It's a concept I want all of us to have. If you forget everything, remember these statements. Some of us think that the world is like a piece of cake, like this. So if Mama Fa gets half of it, the rest of us are sharing the rest of the half of the cake. That is a poverty mentality. I have the mentality. Let me show you an example. You see people fighting over land, fighting over stuff. Travel Accra, Kumasi. Look at the number of lands we've not used. This is the two biggest cities in our country. And look at the lands we've not used. If you travel Kumasi to the north, it's even... And we are fighting. So for me, abundance mentality simply means that if you get the cake, there is still so much infinite cake left for me. So for that reason, when Amma is doing something, we all support it. When Mama Fab is doing something, we all support it. Because there is still so much what? For all of us. Please, is it good for you?
Yes.
The next one is relational thinking, and that's where I was talking about leverage. Leverage is not trying to use people. Not at all. So in life, there is what we call efficiency thinking and relational thinking. And I'm going to explain it to you. Let me use money. I remember it and you. What's your name again? Faith. Yes, please.
Shika.
Chika.
Shika.
Shika.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gold for sure.
Oh, Shik.
Oh, Shika like S.
Shika, S-H-I-K.
Okay, Shika, good. So Faith and Shika. Now, Mama Fab wants to get to Shika. So she becomes friends with Faith. She gets to Faith and Faith introduces her to Shika. Then she abandons Faith because she's gotten what she wants. This is efficiency thinking. What it means is that faith was a means to an end. In relational thinking, Mama Fa will go through faith and would enjoy the relationship with her, keep that relationship, come to Shika, and still keep that relationship because she becomes a means and an end. And that is what you do with leverage. You always build upon relationships, and that is what will make the difference for you. People will tell you social capital, social leverage. If you want to start a business, I remember we had a program with the Deputy Minister of Finance, and the students asked, we were doing entrepreneurship. We're starting a project, we don't have anything, how do we start, and blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. Are you aware today that most of us think that everything about capital is financial? It's wrong. There is social capital. The way, if you remember, for all of us from SS and university and stuff, they are some of your own mates. To date, you respect them. When you see them, you have so much admiration for them because of how they conducted themselves when you're in school, how they behave. They still behave like prefect on you even in life today. Okay. So you need to protect your reputation with all your heart. So for me, advice I give, any friend who badmouths you, okay, anybody who speaks ill of you, don't keep that person close. Reputation is something you keep. Please, I'm not telling you to go and quarrel, no. What I just mean is that that person is destroying a capital that you have, and you don't do that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So leverage, we have the four different. So there's a financial what?
Is that a person of interest?
Yes, a person of interest. Thank you. It means you are really following. Please your name again.
Mamiama.
Mamiama, thank you.
Millionaire.
I think I like that.
Millionaire.
Have you realized there are some of your friends you've not quarreled, you don't have any problem with them, but for some reasons you are not talking much?
Yeah.
It's because the person is no longer a person of interest. If you want to keep relationships, have common things together, you do. So, if you want to still maintain a relationship with Shika, then maybe there should be an association you join together, a club. Find something you can do. Because you are having a family, you have kids, you have other things doing. Naturally, you are not ignoring her. But she's not part of the people you are engaging on daily basis. So if there are people you admire, when you are doing projects and things, you can bring them on board to solidify what? The friendship. I hope you are getting it. So a person of interest is someone with whom you have common things. So I always tell people, you don't wait. So many people are getting networking wrong. They think that you network when you need it. Actually, build networks even when you don't need it. And at the time you need it, you now cash on. So I hope you are getting it. Yes. Build networks. Be nice to people. It costs you nothing to be nice to people. It costs you, and at the right time you want to cash in, you can actually what? Cash in. So we have leverage. So there is a financial leverage where you don't have to do everything by yourself. You can leverage on banks, you can leverage on venture capitalists, you can leverage on social enterprises, development agencies, funding. You can leverage on your friends and your network to build that. So capital, you want to start a business, you can choose to save together or you can decide. And I remember there was a Ghanaian company I consulted for that I was bringing in investors from outside. So the company's fear was that the company coming from outside was going to own 90% of a business they built over 20 years. And they were afraid. And that is a natural mentality we have. Why should I build something and you come all of a sudden and own 80? So I did this analogy for them, and I'll tell you the same thing. I checked their books, and for the whole year they make $1 million as net profit. Okay, with this new company, they can make 100 million profits, net profit. If you make 100 million and yours is 10%, isn't it 10 million?
Yes.
You do it alone, you have 100%, you have 1 million. Which one would you prefer? And as a good consultant, I teach them something we call the minority rights consent. This is free consultation, right? So you teach them the minority rights consent, which simply means that irrespective of the percentage I have, I still want a voting right as equal as your 90%. I hope you are getting it. So it doesn't matter you have 90%. My voice is as important as yours. If you accept that, we are in business. And they accept it. And now,
minority rights.
Consent.
Consent.
Yes, please. Consent.
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 Oh,
Oh, concern.
Consent. As to you, it's like you are concerned. You are involved. Please, is that okay?
Yes.
Then we have social leverage, which like social capital, what I've talked about. Then we have the marketing side, where you are using other people's platform. You don't have to build it yourself. If there is a mall, why do you want to go and build somewhere? You could go there and use it. If there is someone's platform, why don't you use it? Is that okay? And then there is a system leverage. Now, system leverage has been something, our part of our world, we are not exploring and even exploiting. You know that the fact that inflation is high in Ghana also makes return on investment higher. It is a reason why our interest rates are higher than the Western world. I remember in Switzerland, I could even see a negative interest rate on a savings account. Your account, savings, the interest rate is going negative because they have enough cash. Come and take it away or just keep it there and you still lose money. And now the US and stuff, other places, all single digits in terms of interest, some 3%, 4%, whatever. But in Ghana, you're having 12, you can even get 15%. I hope you are getting it. In that same way, the businesses we do in Ghana, it's only in Ghana somebody can go to China and buy goods for 50,000, come and sell it for 100,000. Only in Ghana. I hope you are getting it. You can't do that. So the same way our system here is not favoring us, there are some advantages we also have from this disadvantaged system. So you need to learn to leverage. And our system is in a way that the rich keep getting richer. So the objective here is that all of us should move into the rich. So that we'll keep getting what? Richer. It's a system thing. Sometimes the system, you can't do anything. As we are talking, the change we want in Africa, in Ghana, it will take us a lot of years. So accept the reality, accept where we are, and look at how you can use this same system to what? Your advantage. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Then we have fair exchange. I wouldn't waste too much time on it. Fair exchange is basically make sure that you don't charge too expensive than you actually what's given. Don't let your customers feel cheated after they've left you. Is that okay? And don't also undercharge people. And that thing is very dangerous, especially when you are dealing with relatives. I have a simple policy I give to entrepreneurs. Let your managers front transactions with relatives. If you are my relative, you are buying something from, please, my manager will deal with you. I don't get involved. That is how you should do it. Friends and relatives are very dangerous. It can destroy relationships, friendships. So I always say for me, because I have relational thinking, I'm always willing to sacrifice money for relationship. Sometimes you lose money, but you build what? Relationship. So you make sure. And then we have wealth velocity. So wealth velocity is a concept that a lot of people have not really paid attention to. And I'm going to show it to you in a very simple way. Let's assume that anybody who's doing trade business here, buy and sell, any buy and sell business?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, retail pharmacy, good. So let's assume that these are just assumptions. Maybe an MS chemist or the people you buy from, for example, they give you a 1 month credit, an example. Now, that 1 month credit, you are able to sell the goods in 1 week. You have 3 weeks of their money with you. You can turn that money within 2 weeks and leave the last week to accelerate your wealth. So, you know that, let's assume, and I'm going to give you a concept in accounting, and it's a simple sales turnover. If you pick someone who sells, maybe let's use a retail pharmacy here. You buy the drugs, you sell, you get the money, you go and buy, you sell, you get the money, you go and buy. So let's assume your capital is even 100,000. The 100,000 gets finished in a month, then you buy another 100. So it means you are doing sales of 100,000 every month for 12 months, making 1.2 million. Another person is selling a car for 100,000 and sells it maybe every 6 months. That person's turnover would only be 100,000 for 6 months, 100,000 for another 6 months. That's 200,000. So what I advise people when it comes to wealth velocity, and people don't know this because of the leverage. In business, the first most important thing you need to do is to learn to use beyond your own capital, which is the leverage, especially the business people. So your suppliers, you do one thing, which is pay on time, all the time with them. Once you are paying on time, they will trust you to give you credit. Anytime anybody gives you credit is an expansion on your capital. In other words, what your physical money could have bought, which is 100,000, because of the credit of an extra 100,000, you have a capacity of 200,000. So once you keep paying, you can do more. Now with that same 200,000 now, if you can find a business that does not conflict or has a good turnover, you can turn that extra 100,000 and get more money. So I'm giving an example from one of my customers I consult for. He has a Chinese people who gives him a 365 days letters of credit. So 365 days goods are given to him. He's able to finish selling them by 3 to 4 months. Now he has almost 8 months to send that money back to the Chinese. This money can be turned around. That is worth what? Velocity. Your ability to use the same money a number of times is what is going to accelerate your wealth. So some of you is your salary. That same salary everybody is receiving. You will open a water and drink shop. That same salary. And turn that same salary before you spend it. The other person receives a salary and just spends it. You have seen, as I told you, money is not a spending tool. It is what? So you use that salary to sell that thing and you have an extra money before you spend it. And that is what makes the difference. Is it clear?
Yes.